It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists and piercer talk about some of the more common things that those who collect tattoos and piercings and those in the industry may have. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo in the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. What we're going to talk today about is which is better, an apprenticeship or a tattoo or body piercing school. But before we get into that, just to let you know who's here today. We have Jimmy St. John, tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen. Jack Lowe, tattoo artist and owner of the Skin Kitchen. I'm DaVo, I'm body piercer, and I operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. And then Brent Starr, tattoo artist at Skin Kitchen. So who wants to start this rant?
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
so
basically what the gist is that there's all these, and they always seem to be in Florida for some reason.
Well, they're everywhere, but yeah, Florida always pops up.
So I'm guessing that Florida is, as far as if you want to start a university or a school, it must be easy to get credited there.
I think we need to explain the question a little bit more.
Okay.
You know, like maybe kind of go. You know, so what the question I think is talking about is there's all these tattoo schools popping up. You know, it's not something that any colleges that I know of have any kind of class that you could gain knowledge that would, other than art courses, of course, that would really gain knowledge that'd be beneficial if you want to be a tattooer. I did hear years and years and years ago there was a college looking into that. I don't know if it ever happened. But anyway, so there has been tattoo schools opening, and they've been around for at least 30 years.
Maybe longer.
Yeah, probably more. But
there's a way to make money, you know.
Yeah, there's more and more coming up all the time. So they claim all kinds of crazy things, and it seems that a lot of times that's not really good info, and it's not long enough to teach you anything. And on the other side, typically the way it's been done is if a person wants to learn how to tattoo, they find a tattooer who is willing to teach them. And that can range anything from a monetary exchange or to basically a life debt.
Yeah.
To where, yes, I will teach you, but you are my student and you are my Padawan, basically, expectedly forever.
Yeah.
You know,
or a set number of years.
Yeah,
basically,
exactly.
And you agree not to compete directly.
Yeah. What I mean is, you know, to the extreme, I rock the mic like a vandal. No, but to the extremes, you know, one is more of a heart and blood oath, I guess, and the other is a monetary exchange for an item. Yeah. And do I think this item is worth what I'm paying? And all that, and
you're always tied to your mentor. Most of the time.
I guess that's what I mean. Kind of I don't want to make it sound like indentured slavery or anything like that. Well, but you know, and every place is different. But basically, we're looking at: is it better to have one-on-one tutelage to gain your knowledge to become a tattooer, or is it better in a classroom? You have a set amount of time and a set amount of money, and then you get a piece of paper and good luck.
Yeah, you're on your own. Have fun with
In
that.
my experience, like doing a lot of tattoo conventions and traveling around, you always have each state has different laws, you know, overriding tattoos and controlling them, which are fine. And they're there to regulate you, and
which there's nothing wrong with.
Generally,
they're supposed to be there for your safety, and some of it
the bare minimum.
You know, and some of it is for your benefit, like requiring your artist to be bloodborne pathogen certified, CPR, first aid, all that stuff. You do need that stuff. It is important. But like, for example, when we worked in St. Louis at a tattoo convention, this city worker comes in and he's walking around with this little light meter. And I'm like, who are you? And he's like, I'm the inspector. I'm like, okay, you want to see my sterilized packages and my tubes and stuff and the dates on them and when they were sterilized and how long and all that. So he goes, no. I'm like, do you want to see my machines and how my stuff's set up? No. I'm like, well, what do you need to see? He's like, I just got to check your lights and stuff. And I'm like, lights? And he walks around with a meter and he's like, oh, it's not enough light in here to tattoo. It's too dark. So I reached over and like my tattoo light and I turned my tattoo light on and he's like, oh yeah, you tattoo under this? I'm like, yeah.
So how does that affect when learning to tattoo?
But what I'm saying is when these schools set up, they're schools that can teach you to tattoo and their big ploy is we're certified by the state. Okay, well, so they require you to have a CPR test, a bloodborne pathogens test, And as far as like the actual tattooing, they don't have a clue because nobody that tattoos is running the regulations or doing it or involved with it. So they're certified to give you a piece of paper that says you can do it, but nobody knows how to really tattoo. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you're going to the school that nobody tattoos at, even the teachers.
Well, I'm sure they.
And, you know, I mean,
probably,
so.
I'm guessing it's kind of like the piercings intense seminars with that, where they bring in people that volunteer to get, you know, tattooed.
Well, you got people that volunteer for the clients, but I'm talking about the teachers.
But they don't.
The teachers are just certified through the state to teach tattooing. They're not actual tattooers.
And they don't know shit about.
So how do you teach me to tattoo if you've never done a tattoo? Well, the book says, like, that's not how you tattoo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think you. And plus, most of these, like, you think if you're going to go to college, part of going to college is, and we've talked about this a lot, is proving you did it.
Yeah.
It's committing to it. But part of that also is to make you a well-rounded person. You have to take a bunch of crap that has nothing to do with what you actually want to do. Now, trade schools is a little bit more condensed, but the idea is to give you enough knowledge that if you leave there, you can work at that job. Those aren't 2 weeks long.
No.
Those are, you know, even trade school to learn how to be
a couple years. A mechanic.
You know, mechanic or, you know, heating and cooling guy or what have you, or gal or person. You're going to be there for 2 years.
And the learning is ongoing, too. It never stops.
And you have to recertify over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Back to the tattoo law just real quick is one of the reasons why this would work is you could go down there to Florida, get all this certification, do everything else, and then you're going back to, I don't know, Idaho, and Idaho's like, what the hell?
We don't recognize Florida stuff.
We don't recognize this. Why is this important to us? How does this prove that you've been trained in any way, shape, or form?
That was the other thing about the conventions. Like, we would be licensed in our state and certified in all these other places, but you go like Virginia to California or anywhere from any other state to California, and California does not recognize any body certification from any other state.
Yeah.
And then you have to take the first aid, which is Red Cross, you know.
All over again. And
we all have the Red Cross certification. They go, oh, we don't accept it, but you have to do the California Red Cross. I'm like, okay, you know, it's just kind of crazy.
If someone's going, looks at the tattoo industry and thinks they want to become a part of it and become a tattoo artist, there is going to be, how are you going to get the best knowledge? How are you going to, what's the best way to become what that is? Well, in almost every other profession, there's a school. There's a little piece of paper that a person that runs that business can look at and be familiar with and go, oh, yeah, they went to Atlanta School of Stitching Buttons, and they're good, so I at least know she's had that education, and I can take her from there.
Yeah, she can stitch buttons.
You got some basics.
Now, in tattooing, when you take that piece of paper into an owner of a shop and you're looking for work, he's going to look at your piece of paper and go, oh, you think you know what the fuck you're doing because you paid some fucking jerk off $5,000 for a week of how to run your tattoo gun. You're an idiot.
Yeah.
You're lost. You don't even begin to understand what the fuck you're getting into. You think this is a game, a joke, just like, you know, oh, I want to learn how to make shoes. Not that that's not an artisan thing. Bad comparison. But I think you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's going to hurt you. And if it doesn't, if someone were to look at that as an owner of a shop and hire you on the basis of that, that is not a place you want to work.
No, you're not going to improve there either.
Right. It's going to be owned by a person who has no idea about tattoos other than the fact that they're popular and they're expensive.
Yep.
Has a 20-plus year
he's going to
tattooer.
round up a bunch of kids that got their tattoo guns off Amazon and shove them in a box because all he sees is the outside edge of the money.
Yeah.
So he's just going to cram some people who say they're tattoo artists in a box, and they're going to pump out crap and have problems every single day. And that's what you're going to learn about the tattoo industry. Because you entered it through that corporate mindset, through that, well, how can we make money off of this? Not, I love to do this. I love creating it. I love being a part of the organism, which is this. You are so outside of that you're never going to be what brought you to the tattoos anyway, because you have to be inside that nucleus. You have to have that drive and that love to create the art that brought you in anyway. So you're going to get frustrated. You're not going to understand. You're going to get animosity, and you're going to last probably about 3 years until you decide to go do something else.
Yeah.
So if you really want to learn, you want to absorb, you want to become a part of the community, the world, the organism, which is the art of tattoo, then you need to go to someone who is inside of that organism and knows that, and they will pass it to you as they see fit, when they see fit, and you will become a part of that. It'll enrich your life. You'll grow. You'll become something you never thought you could, and it'll enrich your life forever. YouTube.
Well said.
Very well said. As a 20-plus year tattooer, if I have somebody that comes to me and wants to learn how to tattoo, if you just come to me and show me your raw skills, like your sketchbooks, the amount of time you're putting into this and the effort and the drive you have for it, that goes further with me than you show up with a piece of paper that said I went to tattoo school. Because when I see that piece of paper, the first thing I think is, how many bad habits and wrong stuff do I got to unprogram you from before I can start programming you how to do this?
Because I never heard of these people.
I never heard of these people. Yeah. Half the stuff they're teaching you is that like the Huck Spalding book that you could buy in 1930-something, 1940. We have a copy, for reading out front. But like the techniques and stuff that they have in those books was great in 1930. But in 2023, it is not the proper way to do things any longer. This stuff has changed. It's, it's gotten better. It's, improved.
The only thing, I'm sorry, Dave, I know you're dying to say something, but it's going to be quick. I would be way more impressed with a piece of paper that said, I went to so-and-so convention and took this seminar and this seminar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This date, I went to this convention and I took this seminar.
Yeah.
If I saw that, I'm like, this fucker's going to the source.
Yeah.
He's going to the richest knowledge you can get outside of the internet if you're lucky.
And they're making an effort.
Which you're so overwhelmed with the internet, you don't know what's right or wrong.
And that was the point I was actually going to bring.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
With body piercing, there are what they call seminars, and they're not the learn how to pierce in 20 days thing.
No.
Right.
And what they are is you go to, and they're usually in San Francisco or Mexico because there's two main people that do them. And it's like it's a weekend course, and it's to give you an introduction. It's going to teach you some basics, and it's going to going and taking that. And then coming back to wherever your home city is and going, yeah, I want to learn to pierce. Would you teach me to pierce? And they go, and I finished this, and I've done this, and I've read this, and I've already got my pathogen test, and this and that, and everything. They've done all that prep work. It makes me go, yeah, maybe this person's going to stick with it.
And have an idea what they're getting into.
Yes.
Well, because it's taken some work to get that stuff that you're talking about.
It's showing enough interest because you really have to love this and really want to dive in if you've done these steps. Not if you called up Joe Bob down in Florida in the swamp and went to a weekend seminar and got your tattoo gun for free with your $5,000 ticket and a piece of paper.
Right. Which I'm guessing is an old coil
seminars.
machine.
Right.
They've got like a drawer full of them.
You can't get into these seminars at tattoo conventions and stuff unless you've taken the time to do the research. You've talked to the people that are putting on the convention or the seminar, and you've made your deposit. You've talked to them. You've set your time. You've gotten your spot in there, because they don't just you don't just walk up and go, hey man, I'm going to take that seminar by what's that dude Atkinson guy.
Yeah, if you have a list
that ain't how it works.
of good people in the industry and you've taken their seminars, that shows me so much.
Yeah,
I mean that you took these seminars by really good, knowledgeable people. So that just shows me you even know who to go to learn.
Well, the amount of knowledge you had to put into research to find these seminars and get into them.
It's said in a different way, yes, exactly.
And I think that's part of the problem maybe right now.
Yeah, nobody wants to do the
these
work.
Conventions, like the one that's here in Des Moines. There's no seminars there. There's a competition. There's a dance party, and that's about it.
It is kind of a new convention, and they're trying to get it started. I get it. But like, some of the older, more established conventions, like in Richmond, we have one of the longest running tattoo conventions in the history of the country. The Richmond Tattoo Convention is. And it's got a plethora of seminars and artist workshops, and it's really geared towards the artists. And they also have family stuff for people that come and visit the kids, the zoo and the circus out in the parking lot and all that. And that's great. But there's a lot of stuff geared towards the artists,
which is where it should be.
Which should be, exactly.
And I think that's what I was talking about, the nucleus of what is tattoo, and then that out edge of what can I get from tattoo.
Right.
And and seminars are no different. You know, you're going to have a seminar thrown on by someone who sees the money side and sees the popular side and sees the fidget spinner side of it and wants to get what they can. And then you're going to have the people that want to do it because wouldn't it be cool to get a bunch of saturated tattoo fucking people and just all together and sharing the love of this art? Wouldn't that be neat?
Yeah.
And so you're going to have the differences in those conventions as well. So.
And that's a part of tattoo history that some of the younger people maybe don't understand.
Right.
Or maybe haven't experienced. Even artists, I think.
Yeah.
Because now, for most of the younger artists, they go to a convention, they spend it at their booth selling their artwork and doing a few tattoos, and hopefully they'll be busy and maybe they'll make a few contacts.
They take it for granted.
They don't. Yeah, they do because they can, and
Yeah, they don't know any better.
We all fought really hard to make it to the point where they can.
Right.
And so did the people
granted.
before
You're right. Yes, you're right.
Exactly. But like you look at some of the history back to like the original Los Angeles in the 80s and even the Kansas City one and so forth. It was the first time these guys were ever in the same room.
Right.
Yeah.
That they could sit there and go, oh yeah, you know, how'd you do that?
Yeah.
You can share bits of
happened
knowledge. You know what I
there,
mean?
you know?
And expand it.
They did old
really
email
cool.
where they would take photos of their work and mail
write it and write letters.
You know, and then the other artists would get it and look at pictures, and that's how they would share information. That's how they would talk.
Yeah.
It was such a tiny
Niche
little
people.
thread held together niche, but it was so rich. It was so healthy, but it was tiny.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it came from us clawing, and like I said, definitely, you know, people that allowed us to get where we are, just would not quit, would not let it go away. And from there, you've got this gigantic, now it is part of our culture. It's part of every day. You can't look at an ad in any magazine or online and there's not a tattoo somewhere. Art is inspired by it. The whole fashion lines are built around this idea of tattoo. It is our culture, just like going through a drive-through to get a coffee. Right. So when you're younger and you come into this, it's like, oh, this is, you know, part of the American culture. There's tattooers. Oh, I want to be one of those. So to someone who's kind of clawed through and worked through all these, you know, steps that it's taken to get it to be, oh, it's just I'll be a tattooer now. It's kind of off-putting.
Yeah.
But at the same way, what were we trying to do? We created that situation.
Right.
We created the situation for it to be possible for someone to go, man, I was thinking of being a coal miner or a tattooer. I don't know. It's like it's an actual option where before you had to know someone, find someone. You had to have the number to the guy who knew where to get the needles. There was no internet to just go buy it.
Right.
You know, it wasn't accepted. You couldn't just flatantly get your hand tattooed like you can now, you know, but that's what we wanted.
That's what we worked to get.
And even getting tattooed, you usually had to know somebody who's already tattooed that knew a shop.
Right.
And usually when you went to the shop, it was not in the nicest part of town.
Nope.
No.
The people that worked there were old, beautiful, wonderful people, but they looked very intimidating in most cases. And they were used to people being rude to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was not an inviting environment at first until you got in there and they went, oh, yeah, this person.
It was like finding a speakeasy. You had to find where the tattoo shop was, you know, and get to it.
Yeah,
You
well,
had to know.
because that was kind of, is he
part of
cool?
it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
it was, like I said, it was a very small little nucleus, but it was very strongly protected.
Absolutely.
That's why it was strong, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
Sacred.
because you had to have that diehard in you, that love, not just doing it for cash kind of thing. You had to have that love, and that creates kind of a, whoa.
Yeah.
I'm part of a tiny little club here, and I love it. I don't want you coming in and shitting on it.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, everybody needs to love this.
Right.
Everybody
you need to put it
should
out
love
there.
this. Why am I sitting here for 3 days in a row and nobody's come through the door? So you're kind of, you know.
And that's the hard part about the apprentice part of it, taking on apprentices, is you have all four of us sitting here, and even Jess, to a degree, though she never shows it, have a strong passion for what we do for a living.
Absolutely.
And it's, I think a lot of us, we don't, There were times in my life I didn't make a lot of money doing it, and I could have done other things that would have made a lot more.
I got some stories.
So there's definitely a drive to do this, or the love of this, and wanting to share that with other people, and then finding somebody that's willing to take it as seriously as you can.
Yeah.
We want to keep that heart in it, but we want everyone to love it. So when someone comes into my shop and they say, I want to learn and I want to learn from you, you got to fucking prove it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's very sacred to me.
Right.
You might not understand that because when you were born, your dad had sleeves. You know, it's just been in your life. No one had sleeves. I never saw a human being in real life with full tattoos from their wrist to their shoulder.
That wasn't in a band.
Until I was over 20.
Or jail.
Probably.
Or
older.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can only control what I can control. And I can control whether I teach you. So you got to show me that you've got a passion and a love for this. It's not just, oh, I think that looks fun.
Yeah,
you're right.
And I'm not blaming you for thinking that. Right. I created that for you. All of the people that have through the years have fought and clawed and died so tattoos could be accepted.
Right.
But we never really thought it would shit can it.
Well, it's a dangerous two-edged sword. You know?
It is, and that's what I mean.
You want to put it out there for the world to see and make them and educate them, but you also want to protect it. It's like we used to equate it to like joining the military. Thousands of people join the military a day.
Yeah.
Only a couple hundred make it out because they got the stuff that takes to stick and do it.
Right.
It's like I got this really cool pit bull puppy. And I've spent all this time with him and raised him. And like I take him out, and he doesn't use a leash, and he does all these cool tricks. And everybody sees him like, man, it'd be so cool to have a dog like that. How do I get a dog like that? Well, it takes time and years of love and patience and effort to get that dog to do these things, to react like that and be that kind of dog. Mm-hmm. I'm not just going to give anybody my puppy.
Yeah.
And let them just whatever.
I hear that all the time. Oh, I'd love to be able to draw. I'd love to be able to play guitar.
Then practice.
I wouldn't say love because you would be, and that's the difference.
That's the difference.
And that's the difference between the schools and going to an artist to be taught.
Right.
It's I want to lose 50 pounds, or I could take this pill, or I could work out and change my diet and get healthier.
Exactly.
Well, fuck it, give me the pill. No. Well, you're gonna get what you bought.
Yep.
It's no different in approaching
that's the biggest problem I have with these.
Yeah.
And there are piercing versions of this too.
Absolutely.
I actually, during the pandemic, got contacted by one of them that wanted me to do video seminars and online classes. And the problem is that I have no way of knowing where these people are taking that knowledge and whether or not they're applying it correctly.
And how much control you'd have over how that knowledge is delivered and represented. It's really opening yourself up. And why were you leery of that? Because of that love.
Yes.
Right.
That I love what I'm doing, not what I get from what I'm doing.
It's part of us.
The other issue is I think they're taking advantage of people.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's a Ponzi scheme. Well, not maybe a Ponzi scheme. That's a wrong analogy. It's a get-rich
scheme. Yeah.
They want to get
the money. They're trying to teach. It's the same people.
For $1,000, I'll make you a tattoo artist. But this guy says you got to work for
$500. You can buy all my books, and you too can make $1 billion selling real estate. It's that kind of mentality because if you look at a lot of the advertising, it's like it goes on like your average tattoo artist makes this much this year.
Oh, dude, the numbers are crazy.
You know how much money that a guy or company made because they wrote on a bottle, if you take this pill, your tits get bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Remember when that was all over the goddamn place? You couldn't turn your head without being able to take a pill and make your tits big.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the university.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's like sea monkeys.
People want this
comic,
and there's a way we can present it to them in this package, them not knowing any better.
Right.
There's enough people that will believe it, even though it's ridiculous, that will make a profit.
Make money off of it.
Yeah.
So they put it out there, and you and all your friends look and go, that is so dumb. but there's enough people sprinkled on the planet
Bought into
that
it.
don't think it is, that no matter how ridiculous it is, you're going to make a profit. And that's what these people do. They see, ooh, tattoos are popular. Oh, people think you can just get rich and it'll be great. Man, we'll just open a school that says, hey, don't you want to make all that cash? Well, think about it. If there's that much cash to be made off of it, why wouldn't they just be tattooing?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And why would they be creating more and more people to take that money from them by doing the exact same thing? It's
And-
because they don't do it and they don't
it's
care
like-
about it.
it's
It
like
really
the
just backpedals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
It's like the
And-
real estate scam.
Yeah.
Is these are trade secrets that are making you this
Right.
money. So why in the hell would you tell
Why-
the rest
why'd
of the
you tell
planet
everybody?
how to make money using your trade secrets?
Then they're not
Because
trade
then
secrets.
And then you're not. Nobody's going to be making.
It's like
any
that
money.
page in the back of the comic book, like the X-ray vision glasses.
Exactly.
The sea monkeys.
The sea
How much
monkeys.
money do you think they made off them sea monkeys because of how they advertise it? Because I
And-
bought
and-
a bunch of them.
And do you think they advertised in the back of those magazines for 50 years because they didn't sell them?
Right.
You know, that's
Yep.
exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
That you could bump into a pair of those X-ray glasses when I was a little kid.
Yep.
And they were advertising those in the 50s.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that they sold a lot is
They
what I
still
mean.
sell sea monkeys to this day.
And it
Right.
was always the print ad was really it was that old newspaper print.
Oh
ad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it'd be kind of blurry towards
Well,
the bottom where it said it's a
yeah.
gag.
That's
Yeah,
got to be a
yeah,
stamp
the little-
tattoo on me somewhere.
But the tattoo the sea monkey one had the full page and it was colored and it had like
Yeah.
the whole family and the
Oh, yeah.
castle and the
Neptune-looking
the
guy.
Neptune looking dudes, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's just a
that's
little
not
thing
that's not
about
what it was. Brine shrimp. Dude.
Yeah.
It was a little bitty speck brine shrimp is all it was.
Yeah.
That's why I always bought like the whoopee cushion and shit that worked, you know.
I
Yeah.
like the bugs and the ice
Like, okay,
cubes,
try
At least
to
you're
screw.
getting
yeah.
the joy
Getting
buzzers.
something out of it. You know,
Yeah.
blackout
Stink
gums.
bombs.
And hey, I'm not saying all those things aren't great,
No, because they are.
but they're a novelty.
Yeah.
They're only there because the guy on the other end needs, sees a way to maybe
Yep.
squeeze money out of some people that are just kind of,
The truth is, there is no get rich, get famous, get perfect, get pro
Yeah.
quickly anywhere on the planet.
No.
It's
You-
just it's not real.
You have to go out
you
and
know.
actually earn that
The
skill.
get rich quick is the guy selling you the bullshit.
and a lot of, and it's a lot of timing.
Yes.
You're just like when you're selling the fidget spinners. Yeah, you could buy a box of 10,000 of those for half a penny right now.
Right.
But they were $10 a piece
Yep.
4 years ago. There are people that see sweet spots in the market, see a lot of money wanting to be spent on something, and they try to get in that money's way and catch what they can as
Yep.
it's flying by. And there are people that were responsible for making that stream of money.
Well, that's the end of part one of this two-parter on piercing and tattooing schools. Check back in about 2 weeks for part two. Till then, though, here's hoping your tattoos and piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we all hope to see you for your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching.